Welcome in to the player series. This week we have John Staggers joining us. John, you are a lifelong friend of Mark's. I think maybe the longest friend that Mark's ever had.
And thanks for hanging in.
The only friend that Mark's ever had, if you really think about it. I just remember as the older brother, being 7 years older than Mark. I wanted to start off, Mark's going to take most of this interview, but I wanted to start off with this picture that I found on my mom's Facebook in the title of My Wonderful Family. That's her album. I found this picture, this gem that we're going to put on the screen for everybody. And Mark's going to text it to you so that you can see it as well. But this picture is back when we lived in Maryland and you guys were playing flag football, I think at our other brother's, Dawson's, birthday party. I just want you to describe this for me. What do you remember from this?
I just remember, the picture there, I'm clearly getting stiff armed. So Dawson, I think if you replayed it now, Dawson's pretty big, so I think I'd for sure be getting stiff armed again. So
Oh, and you know what? I'll show the other picture too. I'll put it up there of because our brother Dawson we've talked about him before. He is a big boy.
He is.
And he is the picture I'm going to show him now is he's going to hate me for showing this. But he played rugby for a while and he also was a lot heavier than he is now. He has lost 60, 70 pounds since then.
More. I think he's 100 pounds down.
He's lost 100 pounds. However, he is of that 100 pounds, it was all fat, and he is now just like one big muscle.
Tank.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to show lots of pictures of Dawson in this episode. I will find these pictures and put them up. But if you put them side by side, it just makes me laugh. That picture versus the other picture. Sorry.
Always stiff arming.
My first encounter with the Heaters, or mine at least, we had I guess it was a vacation Bible school at our house.
Oh,
yeah.
I think Mark and Dawson and their mom came, and I think they were a little bit late, but
sounds about right.
So we're sitting there listening to the story, and then Dawson comes in and does a song, and that was our initial meeting of the Heater.
I remember walking behind Dawson, and there's probably 10 or so kids sitting crisscross applesauce in front of a teacher. And Dawson is coming right down the stairs.
Doesn't know anyone. Doesn't
know a soul.
That's Dawson.
Arranged by our mothers.
I was going to say, how you guys were, like 6, 7 probably in there? 7, 8 maybe?
Yeah, probably 7, 8.
Elementary, definitely, yeah.
Dawson we could have a podcast just about Dawson. The kid is a hoot.
Well, probably should discuss fantasy football. So, John, first question for you. Lead in here. Just kind of the general outlook on the team. I know we've talked a lot offline about your running backs are good, your running backs suck, you're okay, we're trading. So just kind of what's the general outlook and feel for your 3-1 team?
I feel like I'm fortunate to be 3-1. I think twice I was the closest game. I think one of them was versus you. I don't even know. It may have been, but
I know that one. When we played, you were 2, I was 3 for the week. So I don't know how close it was, but I know for sure. It was pretty close.
So I've had really close games. My team, I've got good receivers. So I've got Mike Evans, and he really carries my team. Same with, he carries my team. And then Aaron Jones is my other guy that carries the team. He's one of my only 2 running backs. I have him and James Conner. I definitely need a third running back, which I've been trying to trade one of my receivers for running back. And it's
how's that going for you?
Not well.
Yeah.
I was 4 people, and I'm 0 for 4. But I have Myles Gaskin. He's my third.
Yeah.
isn't a good third.
I was going to say, like, I feel like your interpretation of your team versus Mark and I interpretation of your team is so much different. Because, like, you're like, oh, my running backs suck, man. But in all honesty, like, I think you're in a very stable position on your team. I mean, not as good as me or Mark, but it's stable all the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was with James Conner had a bad week 1, and it really threw off my perception of him, I guess. But Aaron Jones is still a beast. Like I think he got me 40 points that 1 week versus Mark.
Yeah.
And Connor's had his bye week already, so I guess just one more week. Not Connor and Jones. So we'll see.
I feel like in Gaskin, like he had one good week and he's getting the touches compared to everyone else. So like I think he had a third starter in that. Your receivers are definitely strong. Galladay just coming back from injury. And then you've got 3 quarterbacks. It's 3 starting quarterbacks.
The thing with my quarterbacks is Carson Wentz hasn't been nearly as good as others. He's been, I don't know. I was hoping he'd take like a big step forward, but it hadn't happened. And then Daniel Jones has been terrible. So I'm not sure about him.
I don't think the Giants are sure about him either.
I think when they lost Saquon, it's like, I think the game plan is just Jones.
So
Saquon.
So if they lose every game in the season, do you think they're going to draft Lawrence?
I don't know. I think they trade the pick, honestly. Of course, I don't know. It'd be tough to pass on Lawrence. But
it would, definitely when you have Daniel Jones throwing the ball right now. I mean, I know Dwayne Haskins doesn't look good, but he doesn't look like Daniel Jones.
I was going to say, did you see there's a graphic going around right now comparing them, and every single like picks, touchdowns, completion percentage, everything is Dwayne Haskins' side.
Yeah. But the perception is that Dwayne Haskins is, one play away from being benched.
Yeah.
I think, I feel like Jones had the better year last year, so everyone's looking at last year thinking like, I don't know. I mean, I was hoping Jones would maybe step up to like how Josh Allen was last year. Just kind of like, I feel like they're somewhat similar. Allen's definitely stronger arm and more mobile, but I feel like they have somewhat similar attributes, but it's not the case.
They're both white males.
Yeah. They're both pretty big, though, I think.
No, there's more than that, yes. So just to build on this, so we talked about your running backs, we talked about your receivers. What do you feel like your general outlook of your team is, though? Is there anything that we haven't touched on with your team?
I don't know. I mean, I think you guys rank me higher than I think I am because, I don't know, I see myself more of like top 6, where I think you guys see me kind of top 4, at least in the power rankings right now, but I don't know what last episode brought. I think I would say Blue Footy Hulk, his team is probably better than mine. That's the only one that come off the top of my head. But and then
so we've got you at 4th.
You have me at 4th still?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just behind us two, we all know Mark. He has Patrick Mahomes and Miles Sanders and all those guys. But I don't know. We still got you ahead of Albizi and Wolf Footy, which I think are the next 2 closest ones.
Yeah, they could be challenging in the weeks ahead. But John, I think just like in most things, you're probably more down on yourself or your team than is actually true. Like I think you should have a little confidence in your team here.
I will say I wish I made a trade with Newell. I think I missed out on that McCaffrey trade. I would take that in a heartbeat if I knew I could get him for 2 first-rounders.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's still time. I think Newell has a couple more players.
Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, you could go for Robbie Anderson. We talked about him this week. That's too funny. Sorry, Mark, you're doing the interview. I'm taking over here. Go for it.
All right. Next one here. Well, this will be kind of rounding out of this kind of general outlook team. It's like when you look back at your draft strategy from year one, like what was that heading into it? What were you thinking of? And what would you change differently, like a year in, if anything?
Yeah, so I feel like the strategy for me was get good, solid running backs, which I'm pretty sure my first two picks were. Well, first pick was Mike Evans, but then after that I took Connor and Aaron Jones, which to me those three picks were. I can live with them, I guess. But I think Connor, looking back, it was probably a reach, but after that, I feel like I wanted young quarterbacks, so I took Carson Wentz, which
Yikes.
would have worked
Yeah.
out had he turned out how he, like with his MVP form. But no, that's also why I grabbed Daniel Jones. And then I also grabbed Dwayne Haskins and traded him to you, Mark.
Yeah.
Which, that trade's now haunting two people now, because I know you got Jonathan Taylor for that, and to Eric, which you regret that trade. So I could have had Jonathan Taylor instead of pretty much Kenny Galladay for the most part, which is crazy because now I'm trying to trade a receiver for running back. So
yeah. You want to trade Jonathan Taylor for Kenny Galladay? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Maybe.
All right, we'll talk after. We'll see.
Yeah, back to the draft strategy. To me, the receivers are just like, you can get solid ones late still. And I really think all my receivers are like either solid or young and on the rise. Like I have Marquise Brown and Deontay Johnson. Both of them, I think, have taken big steps this year. Robert Woods is a little older, but he's still solid. I'm glad to got him. And then I did take Hawkinson. He was a rookie then, so hopefully he'll be around a while. He's actually had a solid year for.
Yeah,
he's taken a good step forward this year for sure.
Yeah.
Top 10, like he's been doing well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
See, I think. Go ahead.
When I was looking back through the draft actually, and I saw I could have had Russell Wilson over Carson Wentz, and I guess obviously Lamar, but at the time you can't really tell about Lamar. So, I don't know. You can always look back and see, like, oh, I could have done this, could have done that.
Because that's coming off the year that Wentz was, like, just missed MVP because he got hurt the last few weeks of the season. Is that right?
No, there's a year.
I think it was a year. Yeah, I think there's one more.
Okay. So. I think that's kind of interesting to hear your thought process, like, compared to Eric's, who I'm kind of in between of like Eric was thinking more running backs come and go, so get more receivers. And you're saying you got more receivers, but you could have just picked them up. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah. I don't know. I think definitely in the rookie drafts, I'll be looking running backs. I don't think that was the plan when I did the initial draft, but I do like having a set group of receivers that I can rely on for like multiple years. Because I feel like running backs will be, I think you guys were saying last episode was like 2 to 3 years shelf life, which is like not much. So.
Yeah, 'cause I definitely went heavy running back, and they're the ones that get hurt more, and then like by 28 you're ancient. So like, I mean, I got Zeke and Gurley, who I thought I was pumped about, but then Gurley quickly became nothing fast.
Looking back in the draft, I don't even know who I took for a third running back. I think it was Tony Pollard was like my third one, which is like, I mean, if Zeke gets hurt, it's good, but for him.
Yeah, not good for me.
I don't know what I was thinking. I pretty much drafted 2 running backs.
Well, yeah, because you took a whole bunch of receivers in the middle rounds.
Right.
And then by the time you came around, you're like, oh, well, I better take Pollard. There's nobody else.
Pretty much.
All right. So if you're doing it differently, would you go? Who would you target more, and like what competition would you target more if you could do it again?
I think I'd go elite quarterbacks first, maybe second or third round. You just try to get two like super solid quarterbacks off the bat, and then I do like my first round receiver pick though. I think that was a safe bet. But, so I feel like there's almost not a whole lot different I would do. I would just hopefully hit on a quarterback that's not Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, then we kind of mentioned it in the past, and just as we're talking about your team, it's come up a little bit, the Steelers. Talk to us a little bit how, we had Albert who got with the 49ers, so there wasn't his home team. Jared going to Titans, his home team. How did you get the Steelers?
So it comes from Madden, basically. I pretty much, long story short, I just like their logo. Playing Madden like at another friend's house years ago. And then I got a GameCube for Christmas one year and just stuck with them. It was like Cordell Stewart, Bettis was there, Plax. I guess it was that kind of era. And then I just stuck with them. So, yeah. Nothing much to it. I think my dad was a Baltimore Colts fan. So I think when they moved, he kind of didn't really have a team as much. He rooted for the Red Sox.
There was another team.
Yeah.
Okay.
He rooted for them. It was like, I think he kind of lost his like fanhood, I guess.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I feel like kind of how I ended up, I don't know, Eric, where you kind of felt, but I ended up with the Nationals because Orioles never just felt like the team. I wasn't going to like jump on it. So Nationals came, it was easy to jump on that. So.
Yeah, whereas for me, when I was still in Maryland, the Nationals didn't exist yet. So I guess I would say I'd pull more for the Orioles but I really just don't care about baseball. So now that I'm up in Boston, I cheer for the Red Sox, but not this year. This year I just close my eyes and hold my nose and hope for the best.
All right.
So I can attest that John was a Steelers fan the entire time I've known him. So it was before Ben Roethlisberger and the Super Bowls. But it sounds like John can attest to a claim I made earlier, regards to witnessing Santana Moss. Take it away.
That Santana Moss catch you guys were referring to a few episodes ago, Eric was wondering if Mark was even like able to remember it, and I'll tell you, he for sure remembered it because I remember him talking about that catch like 20 times. I feel like it was every time it came over. Yeah, John, you see that Santana Moss catch? I was like, yeah, I remember it. I felt like he wanted to like play it in the backyard, and I don't know, it was funny.
Was this during the
great play though?
Was this during the time period where Mark lived at your house more than our house?
Yeah.
Getting my mom to drive me over in the minivan.
Yeah. Backyard football with Michael and Dawson. That was always good. But yeah, I feel like you talked about that catch for like probably a few months. Like it was definitely the highlight of the season.
I mean, he's still talking about it now, so I don't know.
Look, there is not enough that's going on in the Washington football team organization. I'm going to remember when Santana Moss won us in the fourth. But awesome. Well, the last question that I really had was about just kind of our league in general. Obviously, you've been doing fantasy football and keeping track of the NFL for a while. What would you say you like about our league? If there's any particular rules or setup, and what would you do differently if there is anything?
I definitely like the dynasty part. I've done a keeper league with baseball before, but the people I was with, it wasn't nearly as active, and there wasn't a podcast with it. But we would
go big. Okay.
You can only keep 7 players after each season or so. So the dynasty league, that was just I love the stocking up for the future as well as planning for the present, and then trading draft picks is a cool thing too. But yeah,
I can't believe playing keeper fantasy baseball. I think I've tried in 3 separate seasons with you just to make it through one MLB season. And haven't made it to the All-Star break yet. So
And we didn't have a like free agency money, so like people were like picking up huge prospects like just for free, and it was terrible. And it's ended by now, but it only lasted like 2 years, 2 or 3. Hopefully this one lasts longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Thanks, John, for that, Owen. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Right.
How have you felt about some of the point structures that we put in place, like the tiered PPR and some of the different things like that we've actually tried for the first time here. Mark and I haven't tried that in any of our other leagues yet either, or like the Superflex or something like that.
Honestly, I can't tell totally. I feel like I don't notice it enough to like get a real reading on it, but I do like the idea of like a longer catch counting for more. It's kind of like a explosive player bonus, I guess. What was the rule we added with the tight ends again? There's some like.
So this year we just tried to even it out a little bit because the tight end position just seems to be so sparse. I mean, this year might have proved us wrong so far because there seems to be a lot more explosive tight ends this year. But it's hit or miss. It's some good years, some bad years. But basically what we did was with the tiered PPR, everyone starts at the same level on their catch. But we added an extra 0.75 bonus per reception for the tight end.
Okay.
And we also added 0.5 for the wide receiver because the running backs were just like killing everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's a really convoluted tiered PPR. Also, you get half a point for first down system.
Okay. Yeah. No, I definitely like the first down part too. It's just fun watching the game, like pushing on the guy to get a first down just for that. But, it's different. I mean, I always just do the standard like scoring, so it's definitely cool having a different set of rules for the different scenarios.
Yeah, I think we'll keep breaking it down. Like this offseason, we looked at the percentage gain change. So like, just kind of breaking that down. Just continuing tracking like what that does. And kind of like you said, I don't really feel a huge difference during the game. And like Kittle, I think we calculated like 16 points between the tiered approach, premium, and the first downs, and then like above what a regular PPR would get. So it'll just be interesting to keep track and see like what that disparity looks like. That's a good point. But
yeah, no, I think, like you said, I don't think we're going to be able to tell until after the season. It's kind of hard in season to see it. It was eye-opening for us when we did all that statistical work in the off season. We made that huge chart. That's kind of what made us aware, like, oh, running backs are like killing it, and maybe to the disadvantage of other players. So we'll see. This offseason, it might be a similar thing of revamping again for the following year, but I think it's going to be more tweaking more than anything.
No, I mean, I like it. The league's been so fun, so I'm up for any new rules.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, John. It's good to see your face again. I used to think, so for the listeners, this group of guys, we play video games on a regular basis. Our go-tos are Madden and NHL. Those are our mainstays. We tried FIFA. We tried 2K. But definitely like NHL, Madden, all the time. But for the longest time, I hadn't seen John's face in probably over a decade. So in my mind, I still pictured like 10-year-old John. Like, no offense to him, like his voice changed, everything changed. I knew that he was a grown man now, but 10-year-old John is the face that I had in my head. And I was like, I actually looked on Facebook, Like I stalked him. I was like, "Where's John? John, do you not have a Facebook?
No, I don't have like any social media.
You don't have? Yeah, you're horrible. It's so hard to stalk
I love
you."
that. I respect that so much. I want to move. I want to move out, but
all that to say, so the first time I saw your face was like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
When at Dawson's wedding, when he got married, in the middle of a pandemic, and put us all at risk. But no offense to D, but anyway, it's been a completely eye-opening experience to finally change my perception of who is John Staggers, who is Michael Staggers. It's still weird, but it's good.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, John.
John's like, I don't know what to say to that.
All right.
Probably jump on, man, in like 5 minutes. So yeah. See you then.
See you guys.
All right. Thanks again, John. We'll talk to you soon.